Hey y'all, it's me, Velvet. So I want to come on here to my channel and I want to talk about something that I am seeing happen more often now than I saw previously. Now, I'm a season ticket holder for the Commanders. Now, last year was my first year being a season ticket holder, and I love it. I love it. I love all the perks that come with it. I love going to the games, win, lose, whatever. I'm there. I'm there supporting them. So all last year, I would either take a Uber or a Lyft. And most of the time I took Metro to get there, and I walked the 1 mile up to the stadium, which fine. That was my little exercise for that week. And then, like, when the game would end, I would walk over to the ride share parking lot, and then I could either get a Uber or a Lyft, and I would pay no more than 45, $50 to get home. Reasonable, okay, reasonable. And sometimes I paid less than that. But I always tipped the drivers, right? This was all last year. Had no problem. So I renewed my season tickets. But this year, what I have noticed is that Lyft and Uber have raised their rates enormously. I mean, after every game, I would go over after every game, go over to the rideshare parking lot to, again, either take Lyft or Uber. But I'm noticing, for me to get home back to DC from Northwest Stadium, Lyft would require me to pay $75. Uber, their prices would range from $80 to $115. And, I don't have that kind of money. That's a lot of money. And so I would just take Metro back home. And here's the thing. Where I live, okay, Northwest Stadium is here. Okay, this is Northwest Stadium. I live on the border of where DC and Maryland meet. Okay, because once you cross the street, you're in Maryland. You cross the street here, you're in DC. I live in DC. I live in Northeast DC. Okay, it is about, maybe doing traffic, 45-minute drive in traffic. So, I understand I might be paying a little bit more, but $75 more? No. $80 to $115 more? No. That's a little too much. And I was noticing that these prices, this is the price, and I would go after every game to see maybe there would be a price change. No price change. It was either with Lyft, I started to notice that Lyft would say, okay, we got a driver for you. We'll be sending you their information. And then 5 minutes later, ride canceled. They'll say the driver canceled the ride. And then when I would go over to Uber would say, well, $85. And then I would go between Lyft and Uber. Same thing. Lyft would always cancel my ride. Okay? Uber, the price would always go up and up and up. And again, if I could walk home, I would. Okay? But the reason I like to take Lyft and Uber home is more of a safety for me, because I feel safer taking Uber and Lyft home because, you know, I don't have to, like, I feel safe on Metro. Now, I'm not gonna say I don't feel safe on Metro. I feel safe on Metro, but it's walking from the station to my home. That is where, you know, I don't feel safe. So that's why I will always try to catch an Uber or Lyft. But because Uber and Lyft prices have gone up so enormously, I don't know why. You know, I definitely have to take Metro home. So let me tell you what happened to me Saturday. Saturday was a Commanders game, and it was, we were playing against the Eagles. So game was at 5 o'clock, and you know at 5 o'clock it gets dark. So I left my house early so I can indulge in the pregame activities, which I had a great time. I took Metro. I walked up the mile. I took the mile walk up to the stadium, and I said, well, I'm going to try again to take Uber and Lyft home tonight. Because when the game ended, it was dark outside. But not only that, it was bone-chilling, ice cold. So, game ends, and I go and walk over to the rideshare parking lot. Okay? I'm over there with like a whole lot of fans. We're all over there in that one rideshare parking lot. And we're all trying to either get Lyft or Uber. And then it begins. Lyft kept counseling me. Uber, every time I went to try to get a ride, book a ride on Uber, it went from 80, 85, 90, 95. Then it went to 100. The highest it went for me to go home, and they were asking for this, on the app was $115. I stood out there in the bone-chilling cold for close to 2 hours. I gave up. And I was out there with another fan, and she realized that the prices kept going up and up and up. But as we're standing there, I'm seeing at least 10, 15 cars that had they either had the Uber or the Lyft plaques, or they both had, or they had the Uber and Lyft plaques, or to show which company they worked for. Some said just Uber, some said just Lyft, some said Uber and Lyft, and they were just sitting there, not moving at all. And that's when I came to a realization that they were only going to come and get you if you paid the highest amount to get home. And there were a lot of fans out there, and they were getting frustrated because we could see the cars sitting there with the Uber and Lyft plaques, but they were just sitting there. And I was talking to a fan, and she was like, yeah. She said, they're just waiting for the person who agrees to pay the highest amount to get home. It was sad. And, like I said, I'm not sure why Uber and Lyft like to price gouge the fans at Northwest Stadium, but that's what they were doing. And there's something that needs to be done about it, okay? Because it's not fair. It is not. I get it. Everybody wants to make money. But they want to charge me $115 just to get home, just to get over the Maryland DC line. When I know last year how much it costs for me just to get over that line and get home, it's ridiculous. And I'm hoping that either Northwest Stadium or the Commanders, whoever has a contract with Lyft and Uber, will have a meeting with them and let them know that they cannot be price gouging the fans because it is unfair to us. I mean, like I said, I was out there for 2 hours, close to 2 hours, and I got so fed up. I said, fuck it. I walked from the rideshare parking lot down to the metro station, and then I walked home. And so I have been really, really thinking about whether or not I want to continue to be a season ticket holder, because it's getting too expensive. It is getting too expensive, you know, and it was ridiculous. And I hope that somebody does something about it to stop the price gouging, because it was ridiculous. It was ridiculous how much they price gouge us. And like I said, I don't know why they are doing it. In fact, let me tell you something else that happened. That Saturday. As I was waiting, along with other fans, to try to get a rideshare home, there was a guy that was an Uber driver. He was walking around telling the fans, if you pay me $100, I'll take you home. He came up to me. He said, look, you pay me $100, I'll take you home. And I'm looking at him like, I don't have $100. He said, well, the lowest I can go is $80. Now, he had put my address into the Uber app that he had, because he was an Uber driver. He said, $80 is the lowest I can go. I'm like, I don't have no $80. If I did, I would have. Anyway, I said no. No, thank you. And, a lot of the fans were very, very pissed off, because it's like, why are you trying to price gouge us? We're just trying to get home from a game. Why is Lyft and Uber trying to price gouge the fans? And like I said, there were a lot of pissed off fans that night. Now, I don't know how many of those fans actually got a rideshare home. I do know that a couple of them walked to the metro station like I did. Yeah, a couple of them did. They did walk to the metro station like I did. It was ridiculous. But I just had to tell y'all this, because I'm hoping that there will come a change to that. That somebody will sit down with those that own Uber and Lyft, so that they can let their drivers know you cannot price gouge people on game day, and how unacceptable that is. But yeah, can y'all believe that? $115 they want to charge me to get home. What? Anyway, that's all I wanted. That's all I wanted to say. And, guys, have a great day. Enjoy the rest of your day. Now, I will be going to the Cowboys Commanders game on Christmas. But I will be taking Metro to there and Metro back. I will not be taking Uber or Lyft. I have learned my lesson. So, with that being said, I'm going to go. And I'll be, of course, I'll always be back to post something. All right, guys. Bye-bye.